Welcome to Spiritual Ambition, where we tune in to awaken our divine nature and explore the provocative inner force compelling us toward our fullest potential. If you've achieved external success but feel a deeper calling, if you're tired of dimming your light to fit in, and you know there's a more powerful way to live and lead and love, you're in the right place. Host Donnabond is a best-selling author, modern-day high priestess, and catalyst for personal transformation. Together, we're birthing a new paradigm of loving leadership, integrating our humanity with divine wisdom as our individual awakening serves collective evolution. Here's your host of Spiritual Ambition, Donnabond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm so glad that you're here. This is episode 3 of Spiritual Ambition. My name is Donnabond, and today our show is called The Healing Heart Set, from self-judgment to soul-aligned compassion. And I'm really feeling my heart today because I'm tired and I'm just working out all the bugs and all the kinks to this whole process of coming forward, showing up live, being in the moment, allowing spirit to work through me. And I also want to do a good job. I want to be engaging. I want to provide value for you so that you're with me and you really get something out of this, that this really is a sacred space that you can come to and be able to tune in to awaken your divine nature. And so as the introduction music was playing and my dear friend Evelyn Brink, the amazing Evelyn Brink, and her powerful voice was doing the narration, I just closed my eyes and I could literally feel my energy changing. I could feel spirit coming in to my body, into this vessel, and showing up to support me, to support you, so that we are having this journey together. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. If you're behind the wheel of your car, of course, you won't want to do that. But as we create this sacred space together, I want to invite you to just attune to your heart. So go ahead and close your eyes for just a moment and just take a nice deep breath in. And just letting that go. And I want to invite you to just place your hand on your heart and just notice the energy in between your hand and your heart. I invite you to tune in to this frequency, to this aliveness, to this pulsating energy. And really giving yourself permission to slow down your mind, slow down your breath, and slow down your heart. And allow your breath to be in harmony with your heart. And as you do this, notice how your nervous system just completely relaxes. I want you to call your attention to the wisdom of your heart, the intelligence of your heart, the brilliance of your heart. Just a beautiful breath. Infinite universe, we call ourselves forward once again into your loving, and we ask to be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear white light of living love. We ask that any karma, negativity, or imbalance, any blocks, any judgment, any criticism, any constriction, contraction, false notion, old ideas, any limiting beliefs, any wounding, old hurts, any energy or vibrational frequency that is vibrating at anything less than the frequency of divine loving that may be residing anywhere in your field, my field, anywhere in our collective consciousness, mentally, physically, emotionally, subconsciously, or energetically. We ask just now that anything with a resonant frequency that is vibrating at a rate that is less than divine love, we ask that all of that be lifted and transmuted at this time. And into this space, we are left with and recognize love, grace, peace, harmony, synergy, creativity, compassion, understanding, allowing, acceptance, ease, effortlessness, simplicity, joy, surrender. We acknowledge and we welcome in all the divine beings of light that work with each one of us individually and collectively, who love us unconditionally, who work for the divine plan and work for the light. Only those beings of light are welcomed into our sacred space here today. We ask for your support and assistance in bringing forward healing, revelation, and wisdom of the heart that will resonate most profoundly for each individual here and each individual watching the recording, for their highest good and the highest good of all concerned. We are so grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work. And for this and more, we say thank you. So be it. So today we're going to talk about the heart set. And slowly what I'm doing is I am sharing with you the 4 sets to higher human integration, which is my healing modality that supports us in aligning our life with the wisdom and the power of our soul, of our higher self. And in order for that to happen, we have to liberate our soul. And we are liberating our soul from our human condition, from our human programming, from the shackles and the patterning that we have taken on throughout the course of our life. And during episode 2, the last episode, I spoke about mindset. And I was a little bit off, I have to be honest. But I hope that you got my point, because the single transformation that I was offering in that show was your recognition of the fact that our mind doesn't always have it all, and it doesn't always have it right. And when we can begin to question our mind, our thoughts, our belief systems, and really tune in and asking ourselves, is that really how I want to live? Is that really what I want to believe? Are those thoughts really supporting me in the experience that I want to have in my life, or not? And so we looked at mindset, and today we're going to look at heart set. The next episode, we're going to look at skill set. And the episode after that, we're going to look at the soul set mindset, heart set, skill set, soul set. These are the 4 sets to higher human integration, my healing modality. And if you can't wait and you want to learn about all of them, you can visit empowertheauthenticyou.com, and that will give you all the information about the journey. So let's talk about the heart and our heart set. And it was a big deal in my life when I gave myself permission to allow my heart to participate in my life. Whew, like even just saying that. Can you feel that? What would it be like for you to give yourself permission to allow your heart to participate in your life? Like so many of us, right, who grew up with these things that I talked about with our mindset. You know, you had to have the right answer and you needed to know what you were talking about. And there was so much pressure. There was so much pressure to like get it right and figure it out and know it all. Whew. I spend so much energy trying to know it all. And oh my God, I have given myself so much permission to relax now into the wisdom that my heart naturally has. My heart naturally knows. There's nothing that my heart has to figure out. And there's nothing that your heart has to figure out. But what happens is we allow ourselves to be overrun by our mind and our thoughts and our patterning and our conditioning. And then we can't find our heart. We can't feel our heart. We can't get to our heart. Our breath is a direct connect to our heart. And if you remember only one thing from this episode, remember that it is your breath that you're in control of that will directly drop you into the wholeness and the fullness of your heart. And so here's the thing about the heart, and here's what we miss the idea of this. We don't understand this. We're not taught this. Let me say it that way. You do understand this. And there's a part of you that knows everything that I'm saying to you. And the world is our mirror, and I am you, and you are me. And that's a whole nother episode that we will definitely get to. And the heart and its frequency, the frequency of the heart naturally emanates different qualities. And during my invocation today, I was naming some of those qualities, the qualities of compassion, the qualities of acceptance, the qualities of allowing, the qualities of understanding, even the quality of neutrality. I'm going to throw in here. And when you think about those qualities and you think about your life and you think about the world, wouldn't the world be better served if more of us were embodying those types of qualities in our day-to-day life, in our exchange with other people, in our interactions with our friends, with our family members, with our coworkers? What would it be like to more fully embody understanding, more fully embody acceptance? But what happens is we get trapped in judgment, and our judgments have opinions and preferences and positions, like this strong positionality. And I think that strong positionality, it comes from what we were taught and what we learned about the way life is, or the way we think life is, and the way that we think life has to go. And so we get fixated on our position. And so here again, I just want to illustrate this is where and how our mind and our thinking can trap us. Because when we're stuck in that place of position, we're not really in our heart. And that's true. That's a spiritual truth. Because the heart, it has the quality of yin, not yang. And a position is yang. It's that energy of direction. It's that energy of force, that energy of go, that energy of this way. The heart is more meandering, more open, yielding, accepting of all of it. And it recognizes that you might have your position and I might have mine. And that's okay when I'm in my heart. Because all of it can then be included. And this is really like a bigger theme that underpins my teachings and what it is I'm here to bring forward and teach about in the world is the both and. And we talked about that as a mindset shift during the previous episode. But having that mindset shift of the both and in the yin yang, the black and the white, the good and the bad. We can hold it all. We can hold your opinion and position and my opinion and position. And when I'm neutral and I'm grounded in my heart, I know that there's room for all of it. There's room for all of it. So through our positions and our judgments and even our expectations, those things cause emotions. You know, if I feel strongly about something, those positions create different emotional reactions, responses. And when we have a strong emotional response to something, if we experience trauma or loss or fear, what happens is those things get crystallized in our energy body and they act as blocks. Okay, stay with me here. I'm actually going to do a deeper teaching around this in the future, and I'm going to show you some pictures that will help really land this point, but follow me here. So let's just say I experience something traumatic, and in that trauma, I go through an incredible amount of fear. Because I haven't allowed that fear to be fully felt and fully processed through all levels of my consciousness, through my entire system, it acts as a block, almost like a rock, if you want to think about it that way, that then crystallizes and hangs out in my energetic field. Well, I'm 57, and over time, we have all these accumulated blocks that come into our field that actually stand in between your heart's frequency and emanation of divine love. That's really the core frequency of our heart, is the frequency of divine love. And all of those additional qualities are emanations of that divine love, the compassion, the understanding, the allowing. It's necessary for us to dissolve or remove or clear the blocks. Because as we dissolve and clear those blocks, what happens is that natural emanation, that natural frequency just shines through. It just radiates outward. This is why we would want to enter into practices of inner work, because this is really where we go in and we tune in to these blocks. And this doesn't even have to be done in our mind or in our head. And sometimes people think like, oh, I can't remember anything from my childhood. That's okay. I can't either. We don't need to, because we are energetic beings and we can tune into the energy of something. And then through the energy of something, we can understand the emotional content that is connected then to that energy. I attended the University of Santa Monica, where I earned a master's degree in spiritual psychology with an emphasis in consciousness, health, and healing. And in spiritual psychology, Doctors Ron and Mary Holnick define healing. Okay, they define healing as the application of loving to the places inside that hurt. So what happens to our heart is we have these things that hurt, these blocks that are in the way of our natural emanation. And so what we do when we do the inner work is we are bringing our loving. We're bringing compassion. We're bringing understanding to the pain, to the hurt, to the trauma, to the loss, to the criticisms, to the judgments. Healing is defined as the application of loving to the places inside that hurt. Again, I want to attribute that to Doctors Ron and Mary Holnick, who were the innovators of spiritual psychology and acted as co-directors of the University of Santa Monica for many, many years. The University of Santa Monica is still alive and well, and you can check that out at universityofsantamonica.edu. Our heart has an intelligence to it. It has a wisdom. I call it original wisdom. And this is this energetic, that is this real, palpable, tangible fabric of your soul. And your soul's wisdom comes through the heart. But the head has to be out of the way. Our mind needs to be more flexible, less rigid, more open, more yielding, to allow this wisdom to just stream into your consciousness. So preparing for this show, I have a ton of notes. But I've just talked for 27 minutes. And that was just a stream that was coming from my higher wisdom, my higher knowing. And my mind is sort of out of the way right now, which is awesome and great. But here are the notes that I originally channeled that came from this soulful place that was the original inception for the idea of this show, where I wanted to talk about heart set. And then I also have a ton of other notes that I have on a big Google sheet that I also will refer to here in a moment, because I'm going to bring you through a little practice. The point that I'm making is that we all have this beautiful heart wisdom. And when we can relax enough, when we can get out of our own way, when we can feel embodied in this vessel, right? We can create the space that we need for our own naturalness to come forward, because there is that intelligence that is working through us. Take a deep breath. The heart knows what the mind cannot comprehend. So how did I learn about the heart in my own life? Well, I'm going to tell you a story. This is a recorded show, which is also really interesting because it's only my energy and the energy of my producer that are sort of present here. And so I'm just aware in this moment that when I have the live audience, there's a completely different energy that's happening. And as a super sensitive being, I'm trying to navigate all these different energies, which can sometimes interrupt the stream of my own energy that's coming through. So that's just a practice of mastery for my own self, that my intention is to continue to improve upon that as I continue showing up to serve you with this guidance. But the reason that the show is recorded is because right now, my boob is in a mammogram somewhere in Southern California. And I learned about my heart and the heart set through a breast cancer journey. And I learned about my breast cancer through a prophetic dream. But I'm not going to tell you that story today because that story is really better well served when I talk about intuition. And that will come later on down the road. But when I was going through my breast cancer journey, I was in the consciousness, health, and healing portion of my master's degree at the University of Santa Monica. And there's a wonderful practice that has been created again by Drs. Ron and Mary Holnick called compassionate self-forgiveness. And compassionate self-forgiveness is really powerful because it gives us the opportunity to engage the wisdom of our higher self in the healing journey that we're on. It gives us the opportunity to bring in this beautiful essence that comes through our heart, that emanates through our heart, but it's really streaming in from our soul, from our higher self. And that part of our being is this higher, pristine essence that is made of loving. And so in this practice of compassionate self-forgiveness, which belongs to the University of Santa Monica, I was engaged in this practice and I had my hand on my heart and I was talking about my breast cancer journey and this diagnosis that I had received and the treatment plan that I was moving myself through. And, you know, there was so much present and a lot of fear. Breast cancer does not run in my family at all. And so no one's had it. My mother didn't have it. Her mother didn't have it. Nobody had it. And so it was quite strange that I was going through a journey of this type. And I was practicing compassionate self-forgiveness. And here's what came out of my mouth. I said out loud, I forgive myself for judging myself as not loving myself. I forgive myself for judging myself as not loving myself. And when I said this, when it popped out of my mouth, it was a surprise. And then I was witnessing myself in such a way that I was like, wait a minute, I don't love myself. And that was a doorway into self-loving, into deeply honoring myself and my journey and my humanness and my gloriously flawed self, my gloriously flawed personality. And in that moment, I was given this incredible compassion, this incredible flooding of loving that came through to my mind, from my heart, through my heart, and enveloped my mind and my body and my whole being with loving. And that is an example of the power of our heart. Just taking a deep breath. So how can we cultivate that? How can we cultivate more self-love, self-compassion, self-understanding, self-acceptance? Now, I just want to jump in here and speak to the self. You know, when we start doing this, our small self, our personality, and our ego begins to perceive the narcissism of, ooh, self-love. That's pretty selfish. And we start putting our attention on ourself. And sometimes that can be misunderstood and misperceived as self-centered. I'd like to teach you a word that I learned at the University of Santa Monica. Self-honoring. Self-honoring. And honor is actually in my gene key hologenetic profile. So it lives and breathes within me, within my essence, within the frequency that I am emanating outward for you, to you. Honor is what we need for this human journey that we make, individually, collectively, all of it. The more we can bring honor into the experiences that we have, the more we naturally soften, and the more that compassion is able to permeate and emanate and just come forward within us. So I was doing this practice, these words fell out of my mouth, and that literally opened the door to me understanding that self-love is not selfish. It's a self-honoring choice, and it is the foundation to authentic loving and to authentic divine loving. So when was the last time that you spoke to yourself from your heart? When you gave pause to yourself from your heart. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Enneagram. I'm a type 1 on the Enneagram, which has the shadow of the perfectionist. And you see, like, right, all my fancy background, and I'm really doing my best job to release myself of all of my perfectionism, mannerisms, and patterning, because the type 1 on the Enneagram doesn't want to get it wrong because of the fear of not being good, not being good enough. So I have a very strong inner judge, very strong inner critic. And I don't know if this resonates with you, but I am usually the hardest person on myself. Like, I am the first one to call out my mistakes, point out my inadequacies, identify my inconsistencies. I'm the one who is perpetually judging myself, criticizing myself, knocking myself down. Ugh. What if we could use the energy of the heart to be that inner cheerleader, that inner believer, to believe in who you are, the gifts you hold, what you're here to share, who you're here to be, what you're here to do or give or share. No one else can do that. You're the only one who can bring that forward from your state of naturalness. You're the only one. Stop denying everyone from experiencing who you really are with all the flaws and all the magnificence and all the brilliance and all the yumminess. So that inner critic, when she comes forward, I now know how to meet her, how to be gentle with her, how to catch her in the act so that she is not behind the wheel of the car driving my life. Because if she were behind the wheel of my car driving my life, we wouldn't be having this show right now. We wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be doing this. Yeah, so I'm just letting that move through me, because just as I bring my awareness to it, it begins to change. And this is the beauty of doing the inner work, right? Once we see it, we can't unsee it. And once we bring our loving to it, we soften it, we loosen it up, we dissolve a little bit of that stiffness, that rigidity, that armor, right? We wear armor. We wear armor because we've been trying to protect ourselves of all of our sensitivities. I'm no more sensitive than you. We're all sensitive. I'm going to guide you through a little practice right now called the Compassionate Heart Set Practice. And you will be able to download a copy of this practice for yourself if you go to Spiritual Ambition Soul Trips. So this is a soul trip, TRIPP. There's 2 P's on that URL address. Spiritual Ambition Soul Trip, no S. Teaching, ritual, intention, practice, and process. And today I'm going to guide you through a practice that you'll then be able to download for yourself. So I want you to close your eyes just for a moment. And I want you to bring to mind a recent situation where you judged yourself. And just notice in your body where you feel this judgment. Is it a tightness in your chest? Maybe it's a knot in your stomach. Just observe this sensation without trying to change it. Just notice it. Just observe it. So now I would like to invite you to place your hand on your heart and, keeping your eyes still closed, we're going to take a deep breath in for 4 counts. We're going to hold it for 2, and we're going to exhale slowly for 6. And we're going to do it 3 times, allowing each breath to create a little bit of space around that sensation of judgment. So again, just feeling your hand on your heart, breathing in 2, 3, 4, hold 2, exhale 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, imagine stepping back and seeing yourself in that same situation. But now I want to invite you to look through the eyes of someone who loves you deeply and unconditionally, from the eyes of your higher, wisdom-filled self. And from this deep well of compassion, say to yourself, I acknowledge your pain and your effort. And in this acknowledgement, I recognize your growth. It's all okay. And I know you're doing your best in this moment. I am doing my best in this moment. And as you tell yourself that, just noticing how your body responds to those words of compassion, to those words of tenderness, to those words of gentleness, to those words of loving. Just feel how your nervous system relaxes. So as we close this practice, I want you to place both hands over your heart and take one more deep breath. And as you exhale, offer yourself these words. I can acknowledge my struggles and hold myself with compassion. Feel the truth of this both and reality. Whenever you notice self-judgment arising, you can return to this very simple practice. And within time, the pathway from judgment to compassion becomes more natural, creating space for your heart's wisdom to guide you. I encourage you to make this your own. There's something very magical about placing our hand on our heart, and you'll see pictures of me. I think in the spiritual ambition picture, like I have my hand on my heart, and I started doing this as a way to signal to my nervous system, to my physical body, and to my inner child, I've got you. I've got you. I'm here. I've got you, and God's got me. I've got you, and God's got me. And when I do that, I can just feel my whole self relax and come into a more natural state of being, a natural state of awareness, a natural state of presence. I also want to talk just a little bit about gentleness and tenderness. And this was a big learning for me personally in my life. You know, a lot of people in my family, my parents, my ancestors, everybody sort of pulled themselves up by their bootstraps. And they were always doing the best that they could, but they really met the struggle with effort, with fierceness, with a lot of force, a lot of energy, the energy of force. And this is another shadow aspect that I personally work with. The shadow of force is one of my gene keys. And right here in this moment, I want to give you permission to be gentle, permission to be soft, permission to be tender. Because when we're willing to be soft, we soften our mind, we open our hearts. This is where the real magic starts to happen. This is where the real connection actually occurs. This is where we allow in the wisdom of our higher being, of our higher nature, to come down to earth. I think when we get on a spiritual path, I certainly know that this was true for myself. Everybody's always trying to get out of their body. I want to go astral travel and take a ride into the spiritual realms. Like, let's have some psychedelic plant medicine experience. We're going to get out here. Come back, come in, come down, come through. Allow this energy of your highest wisdom, the energy of grace, the energy of the divine, to permeate your being here on the ground, in your life. The heart is soft. All right. Well, I just got going there, didn't I? One of the things that we also do in this show, Spiritual Ambition, which is one of the most sacred practices that we do together, is we have our sacred circle of light. So each episode, when our community comes together, we intentionally send healing energy from the heart, the energy of divine love, to those who need it most. And perhaps you know someone who is struggling with health challenges or facing difficult decisions in their life, or simply needs extra support right now. We believe in the power of our loving collective intention to uplift and strengthen those that we care about. If someone in your life could benefit from healing grace and divine light, you're invited to share their name with us. And then each episode, we gather these names in our sacred circle of light, where our one unified intention creates these gentle waves of loving, healing energy that we send out, rippling across the planet. So today, I am going to send light to everyone, to every single person, whether they see this or they don't see this, whether they watch this or they give a crap about it. It doesn't matter. Because I am pre-recording the show, I actually don't have any names in the coffers, and I could have made them up, but I'm not going to do that. This is going to be the real deal. I'm going to be the real Donna, and I'm clumsy, and sometimes I say the wrong thing, and I don't always get it perfect or correct or right, and I'm going to let that be okay. And I'm going to let that be okay so that you can have some permission to let that be okay in your life too. Because the more you allow yourself to lead from your heart, the more grounded you'll be in whatever happens, whatever comes forward. You're not trying to get it right. You're not trying to force a round peg into a square hole. You're not trying to be something that you're not. I have a beautiful heart, and my personality is quirky and loud and too big sometimes. And I'm going to just go with it. I'm going to just go with it because that's the essence of the energy that's moving through me. And when I'm in my heart, it's all okay. It's all okay. It's when I'm in my head that I start freaking out. I start going into patterns of fear and constriction and contraction. We must get to our hearts. So, another segment that we do on this show is called the celebration of love's alchemy. And this is a gentle pause to recognize the extraordinary magic that is woven through our everyday lives. So each episode, we'll take a moment of loving celebration for something that might seem ordinary or contrary at first glance, but holds within it a spark of brilliance as we celebrate and remind ourselves why we chose to take a body and come here to human land. From the sweetness of a juicy orange to the blessing of an emotional trigger, we turn our attention to the less obvious causes for celebration and to the little things that we may be taking for granted. Through our loving appreciation and gratitude, we uplift ourselves and our vibration with the power of love, sending ripples of good juju out and across the planet as alchemists of upliftment. I love that. Alchemists of upliftment. We're turning the seemingly mundane into marvels of magnificence as we see the whole human experience as the alchemy to our wisdom, as the alchemy for our wisdom. The whole human experience is what gets alchemized into wisdom. So today's celebration for love's alchemy is going to be on something kind of obvious and also something that we are likely overlooking and taking for granted. And that is our heart. That is our heart. So, of course, I was looking up statistics. Physically, our heart, which I just want to give this plug. I'm going to give you that stat in a minute, but you don't have to think about your heart. You're not in charge of it. You're not telling it what to do. You're not having to schedule how many times a day it beats. It beats 100,000 times a day. 100,000 beats a day. Wow. Oh, thank you, heart. Thank you for powering me through this life, for animating this physical body so that I don't have to do it. It's another misunderstanding that we have, that I have to do it all. That's a mindset, right? When we get locked into that, it's all on me. I've got to do it all. Whew. So heavy, so tiring. If we could change that mindset to life is coming through me, help is moving through me, support is coming through me, through my heart, then we can loosen up that idea, that mindset, and we can be more fluid. Okay, so our heart beats 100,000 times a day. It's the connection point between our lower chakras and our upper chakras, between the part of us that navigates the physical world and the part of us that understands the spiritual realms. The heart brings it all together. The heart has an emanation, a frequency, a resonance that uplifts. It uplifts everyone around you. It uplifts your own life. It uplifts an area. There's a book called Supermind by Norman. Oh, forgive me, Norman. Anyways, check it out. Supermind. He accounts in that book where they sent a bunch of people into a high crime area And they had many, many people meditating. And when we meditate, that's a way that we open ourselves and let our heart frequency go out and around the planet. And they saw the crime drop. The more people were emanating that frequency, that heart frequency. When our mind and our heart are in alignment with each other, we come into what's called coherence. And that's the place, everybody. That's where we want to be. That's all the good yumminess, all the good juju. Our next show is going to be March 25th, and we're going to look at empowering skill sets from disconnection to soul-aligned connection. That's the journey that we're going to go on together. Thank you so much for being here, for your presence, for your expression out in the world. We're going to go ahead and we're going to close our sacred space. And we just ask that the light be sent up ahead to your heart, to the hearts of every single person on the planet, that they are noticing their heart, that they're noticing their heart, tuning into their heart, aligning with their heart, because their heart is the transmission of their soul, of their higher self, of their inner knowing and their wisdom. We are now closing all energetic lines of communication between any of us, closing all open portals, gateways, channels, agreements, and lines of communication between any of us and the spirit world. We are so grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work. We seal our practice together in love, with love, for love, as love, by love. My name is Donnabond. This is Spiritual Ambition. Thank you for being here.